Hello everybody, it's me. Welcome back to another day of making some pots. Today I don't really. Today I was rough talking. I feel like you'd be best off just muting, muting the what's it called? Muting the video until the end or until the commercial, I guess. There wasn't a lot going on right now, so I think I was really trying to force something to talk about. I think it was sort of a miss. But other than that, the pots were pretty good, so I'm excited about that. The commercial today was really, I don't know, it was insightful. I think it is good for my memory too to look back and see all the stuff that I made or some of the stuff that I made, and think about it. And so it's a pretty cool little thing there. But thank you guys so much. I'll let you guys get to the video here. All the best. Strong mentality. See you in a second. Hello everybody, it's me. I'm back again today with another pottery video for you guys. I'm currently going to flip up this camera so I can see if the angle's right. Because what I don't want to have happen is, sometimes in the past what has happened is I throw something a little bit too tall or I'm a little bit too zoomed in, and then you guys can't really see like what I'm doing. So I just want to make sure everything's in that angle. Yeah, today's not too much. It's the 2024 now. It doesn't change anything other than just what you write down on the date for the month and year now. I think that like New Year's resolutions, like although it's like a nice thing that the New Year like spawns those resolutions, I think it's way more important that we are always making these resolutions that we want to change about ourselves. So it's a nice little thing. I don't really have anything planned that I want to talk about today with you guys. Maybe I can tell you, I went to the store earlier, right? And I'm telling you, there's this, I go to just like a normal classic grocery store usually, like, if you guys know, like Kroger. I go to Kroger pretty often. I love Kroger. But sometimes I won't go to Kroger, and instead I'll go to like it's kind of like a market. And when I go there, there's this guy, he's so funny. He always just tells, "Hey, what's up there?" And then he's a nice guy. Always asks me how I'm doing. Where you been? I haven't seen you in a little while, buddy. And then I'm just like, sometimes I shop at like Kroger, and then this guy, he seemed like he was so like, he's like, Kroger, yuck. And I was like, bro. And then, I mean, he gets a pass. I think he has some sort of like, maybe he has like, what is it? Not like Asperger's, but like something, And so I'm always I'm nice to him whenever I can be, right? And he's so funny. He gives me hugs, like he'd be like, "Have a great day, man," and then he'll like come in for a hug, and I'm not I don't like to hug, and so I'm like, all right, bro, but I just like let it slide. And it's so funny. I told him, he's like, "What'd you do you hang out with a bunch of people for New Year's?" And I was like, "No, just hanging out by myself." And he's like, "Oh, so sorry to hear that." I'm like, every single thing I'll tell him, like, how's Christmas, how's all this other stuff, and I always say, like, how's Halloween? Yeah, I didn't really do anything like with people, and he always feels. It's like he feels so terrible for me. I've never had somebody just feel bad for me all the time. Whenever I see this guy, it's like he's like, "You hanging out with any friends recently?" And I'm like, "No, I'm just doing my own thing." I'm so sorry to hear that. I'm like, man, it's really it's okay. Like you don't have to feel sorry. But it's just kind of fun to, you know, like I don't know, like to some people, like these things that I do are like sad or you know, to me it's just not really that big of a deal. But it is interesting. It's just weird. Usually I don't have anybody who feels sad for me, right? And so it's just a interesting interaction. Sometimes I do get stressed out though. Like sometimes I don't really want to talk to anybody when I go out shopping, and then I see him and I'm like, all right, I gotta talk to that guy, you know. And so that's kind of something that, like, I don't always want to just talk to people when I go out. Sometimes I just want a nice, calm and silent experience. Alrighty. Let me get this inside here. So that's something I did today. I also went to Menards because I got some C-clamps because I'm trying to clamp these things up, but then I realized, I don't think I forgot about all these, like, there's like a boiler in this place I live, and so they have those like radiator piping everywhere. And where I was planning on setting up, there's these big radiator pipes in the way. And so it's just kind of like, oh no. I just don't know what to... I don't know what to do. And then, let's see here. Oh, ripped through there, but that's okay. I really haven't figured out what I'm going to do with these sort of things. I think what I'll do is just peel it back, just like that. I haven't really decided what to do with those sort of things yet, except just like emphasize it somehow. And like I said, I don't want to, although I think this one is not really that great looking. Sometimes they look a little bit nicer than others, but I will say that you don't want to overdo those spots, right? So I'm not going to touch it anymore. I'm just going to let it be how it is right there. Kind of all over the place today. What was I even just talking about? Oh, yeah. But there was, like, it looked like somebody had, like, these, like, coat hangers set up on the, like, with this little pipe sticking through it. And that's where they'd hang up all their clothes on. And so I think I can, if I use, like, a hammer, I can rip those out of the boards and then re-drill them in to lower the ceiling a little bit, like where the green screen would hang on. And so I think that's what I'm going to do later. I don't really have a drill. I don't have a drill bit though. Actually, that's not entirely true. I do, but I don't think I have like a pilot hole maker, right? So I might have to find something out or find some way that I can do that. Look at this one, guys. We got a lot of little rips there. But it's kind of nice that I have the stuff to kind of finish up the area distinction for this my studio down here, right? And like what I mean by that is like after I get these green screens set up, I'm not going to be moving stuff around anymore. It's mostly just going to be like the place is already set up, so it's just going to be like finishing off these areas, right? Like how am I going to get the camera set up for like if I do streaming, for example, right? And I think right now streaming would be pretty good to get into as well, but I know I don't have that. I'm not like close to doing that yet, I don't think. But the reason I say that though is because I don't know if any of you guys are on Twitch, but there's like a big uproar on Twitch because there's a bunch of like women and like OnlyFans content creators who are kind of like pretending to be naked to get like more views or whatever. And it kind of like when really it's like it's just a very difficult situation, I think, for like the Twitch team to handle, because I think that's also where they get a lot of their money. So I don't know, but in my mind, that's like an opportunity. Maybe people are like starved for content that isn't kind of like that stuff. And so for me, I'm thinking maybe it would be a good idea to start my streaming content soon, just because like the time that I'm in right now. Like, yeah, it might be nice for people who, you know, that they're just like over the whole like OnlyFans girl streamers. They might want to see just a dude making pottery. Probably not, but you never know. It could be like a good time. I feel like I'm always missing out. Like, I think I really should have started making these videos and all this stuff right before I got into, or right before the pandemic, because so many things during the COVID pandemic, like tons and tons of like pottery people sort of made their introduction to their channels during that. Like a bunch of people got into it, and so many people got like tons of viewers because everybody was inside all the time. And now I'm realizing like, oh, I totally missed that opportunity. But again, it's okay, right? Like, life sort of keeps on carrying on. What was I doing even during the pandemic? I was still in undergrad when the pandemic first hit. So I think I ripped the clay a little bit there, bottom. It's okay. But I remember me and my roommates, we played a lot of like video games. And that's when I first watched Breaking Bad, if you guys have ever watched that series. It's a great series. but my friends were really into it, and so they made me watch it. And let's open this up here. Okay. And I played a game called like Cuphead with one of my really good friends. Cuphead is like this. It's like if you ever watch like Betty Boop and like the old sort of cartoons, like who's the guy? Popeye, right? It's like that sort of art style. And so it's a really interesting game, but it's really difficult. It's like a classic platforming shooting game that's like a side-scrolling, so it's only all in 2D. It really is like you're in like a show or something when you play that game. I really like the art style in that game. But part of me is thinking, man, I'd take back a lot of those times. If that would have meant that I would have should have jump-started this a little bit sooner. Alright, let's get some of this clay on the inside here. Alright, here we go. That's pretty good. That's a really condensed twist too. Interesting. Oh, I totally forgot to. Well, it's okay. I'll just put it in that commercial thing anyway. Maybe I'll just switch it up and I'll do it after this video, and then I'll go back to doing that one at the end for this video. Sorry about that, guys. I got a little bit distracted talking about all this nonsense. It's not really about anything. I feel like this is just one of those days where there's just not going to be a whole lot of, like, my speaking isn't really on point today. That's okay. You guys will get to see all of it from me, like all the good, the bad, and some of the boring. But at least the pots aren't boring, right? Like, at least I'm not just making some just normal basic pots. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Just flap these up. Flap these up. There we go. That's pretty good. Alright guys, well I'm going to cut to the object history thing right now. So I'll see you guys in a second. Hello everybody. Today's object is a cup, right? And this cup is very, very special. Let's see if I can. I hope you guys can see the surface of this thing, right? You can see these little specks. It's a very iridescent glaze, but these little specks. And this is actually the first glaze, which was like passed down to me from somebody else's research that they just gave up on, right? And this glaze is an oil spot glaze, right? And it was a combination of a bunch of oil spots that they were looking at during their time as a potter, right? And they're part of that old group of potters who really know their stuff. And so he actually gave me a CD with a bunch of these like old oil spots, and then he just combined a lot of them together and made a recipe. And he kind of just told me to take it and see if I can get it to work, because he was having troubles with it. And this glaze right here is just absolutely beautiful. I fired this glaze a couple of times, but most of the times it didn't really work out. But this time it really is one of the most beautiful glazes I've got to mix, right? It has a really nice history to the pot, and I realized to get it to work, if you don't know about oil spot glazes, right? Part of the allure of an oil spot glaze is the fact that it has like iron in it, right? And what is happening to get the spotting on an oil spot glaze is the iron starts off-gassing. So imagine there's like a little layer of glass, right? And iron off-gasses some oxygen, right? And it creates a bubble, and those bubbles pop, right? And then usually what happens is that you would cool down the kiln, and then you have a bunch of like bubbles everywhere all over your pot, right? But on an oil spot glaze, it pops, revealing the glaze that's underneath, right? So thickness is also kind of important with these glazes. Reveals the glaze that's underneath of the bubble, right? And then you keep heating up the kiln, and those bubbles, sharp edges, as it kneel back into the surface of the glaze to create a nice glossy smooth glaze again. And this, I didn't really get large spots, but I got little small ones. But I learned the trick for this glaze for me was to fire it twice, right? And I was doing a thing where I was firing it in I think I was firing it in reduction and firing it in oxidation the second time, right? And I was doing that a couple times in different, obviously doing it the opposite, and I ended up getting some really interesting results. And this is the only one that turned out good, though. The other ones were still kind of had some bubbly spots on it, and it was a little bit unfortunate. And you might also notice that this, whoa, Noah, like this isn't like your freaking normal cups. Like, look at this. And to that I would say, well, actually, this was my normal for the longest time. There was a long time where I just was making very, very, very like simple objects, and that was the thing that I wanted to do, right? There was nothing else more in my ceramic making style that I wanted to do than to make really clean, really crisp objects, right? Because that's what I thought that's what I believed pottery was, right? To show your professionalism. So that's what I made. I made a lot of these sort of things, and I made this little edge to catch glaze if it fell in, but obviously it didn't. A little bit here, but it's okay.
But they're all sort of have a nice like trimmed foot too. You'll never see that on any of my new ones really. Like a majority of my new ones, they have that squiggly. They have that like squiggly. See if I can get a good the spiral that's kind of cupped in. My old ones were always trimmed, so it's a kind of a nice thing. And then this cup is actually has a medium wall thickness. It wasn't very what's the word? Wasn't very thin. The wall here, it's actually medium. And I thought that this actually was one of the earlier ones that I did that was a little bit thicker. And I started thinking about it. I was like, oh, whoa. You know, actually, like a sturdy cup is a good cup in some instances, right? You think about a diner cup, like the cups that you always be drinking coffee out of aren't like some dainty, thin cups, right? They are thick. They get banged around. They got to be thrown around in the dishwasher, right? Like somebody's tossing them in and out of the thing to get clean, the sink. And so this was one that I sort of started thinking about that a little bit more, of playing around with weight and thickness, because it actually conveys different things to your viewer. Like you're really, people are interacting with your objects, you're talking to them through your objects, right? As you can also see on this edge here, it's a little bit of a bevel in, right? I didn't really do a lot of beveling. I did a lot of rounding, and so a lot of my tops of my old cups were a little bit thicker than the rest of the pot, and they were rounded, right? So this is one where I started to bevel, and it was kind of a new thing for me at that time as well. Again, a strap handle, nice thin, coiled, that I just pull little, I pull straps, like long ribbons, the length of this board, you know, and then that's how I go about making those, these things. I lay them out, chop them up, and I set them on there. Very simple. And yeah, that's about it. I always thought I glazed the bottom section different, because at my time I wanted it to be like, if somebody were just to look underneath of the pot for the name, right? I don't really do my name on the bottoms of stuff anymore, but at a time I did. But this one I was like, well, you know what? I want it to just be a nice celadon. It's just like tinted green celadon. I don't know if you can really tell though. It looks kind of like the same on the camera, but I thought that was a kind of a cool surprise. The glaze is totally different from the interior and the exterior on the bottom. And so, but that's sort of the history on this one, guys. I know it's a little bit strange to see them, to see just a cup, but it does have a history to it. I think I have a lot of cups that have a very specific history to them. But for now, I'll show you guys this one. Thank you guys. We'll get you guys back to the video here in a second. All the best. Strong mentality. See you in a sec. Peace. Welcome back, guys. Hope you guys like that little commercial there. Get ready to do this final pot. We got about 8 minutes. So I'm going to be a little bit more speedy on this so I can get a nice thumbnail at the end here. Open this up. Come on. Oh yeah. So the place that I go to the gym at, sometimes like when I just started working all these teaching things, I was like, well, you know what? I got to make sure I focus on this stuff before I do anything else, right? And so I sort of stopped going to the gym. I still play the basketball and stuff, but I do want to go back. So my gym membership, they sent me a thing and they were just like, all right,
I don't know why, like they automatically uncanceled me, because I paused my membership, and so they were just like, sent me a message, and they're like, hey, it's on the 31st of December, you're back. And I was just like, oh, okay. It's a little bit weird because I imagine if I was an older person and I didn't go on my email that often, I already don't go on my email that often, that I'd be like, all of a sudden they'd start taking money out of my thing again, you know, and I'd be like, oh gosh. So that just means I gotta go to the gym again here, but I don't want to go sort of whenever I think everybody else would be going, just because I know it's the new year, so everybody their new year workout resolutions, and I don't know, like sometimes like I feel like I'm on some bandwagon if I go on the gym at the beginning of the new year. Like, kind of feels a little bit too, like I'm following, like I don't, like following, like trends, and that's not really my vibe, you know. Alright, we got one. My clay's getting a little bit slimy here, like my water bucket. I gotta stop using this little plastic thing. I think it actually is, this kind of screws me up sometimes. I can do one more pull. A little bit wider there. Nice. And you can see after that pull how much that pot really wanted to sit down, right? Oh, I forgot too that I have my head cam. Dude, today's just not a, sorry guys, I actually kind of feel bad. I think I keep forgetting that I have this head mount, and so maybe I should be making more commentary about that. So I apologize. I think there's just a lot going on today in regards to like changing up the studio, so I just tried to think my mind's kind of like on that stuff. Tomorrow I think it'll be kind of cool. I'll be throwing in sort of a new area. I mean, it probably will look the same to you guys, but maybe I can show you what it's sort of looking like. This looks really good though. But the pots today are good. So I think at the very least, I'm glad I can make some cool pots for you guys. Also need to get some new clay soon. I'm sort of running low on my clay. Oh. Collapse down on that side, if you guys can see. Yeah, I'm just gonna do one of these things. Kind of caved in weird, right? So then I was like, you know what, I'll go for it. And I'm using that same sort of pole. It's like the original, just like flop, 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 but it's flop, push, flop, push, flop, push. Sometimes it can create some cool idiosyncratic movements. That sort of, I don't know, I think they take the pot in a sort of a new direction. Look at that, guys. Ooh, look at that. There we go. All right, I'm gonna set up the thing right now. And I'll be the pots for today, and then I gotta go to work here. I'm gonna be. I don't know if you guys remember, for Christmas last week, I went into a place and I was mixing some clay, so I'm gonna be going there. I'm gonna be mixing some clay. Oh, it's ripping. Please don't rip yet. Please not yet. Chill out, bro. Wait 1 second. Please. You guys can see it ripping in real time. All right, stopped recording, but I think I got it right in the just the perfect time. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. I'm gonna end it off with that mug conversation. Oh, and my head thing died too. It's a good time for me to stop. Thank you guys so much for watching. All the best. Strong mentality. Peace.
So my coolest memory is overnight starting a riot at my high school by accident. So my principal had fired our art teacher, and we all love the art teacher. So I went on Instagram that night pissed about the whole situation and just told everyone. Like, I made one little post, and I wasn't popular, so like obviously popular people did see it and they shared it, and I basically went viral overnight. And like the next day I went to school and walked into straight chaos. Everyone was raiding the art department, taking all their stuff, trying to save it from being thrown in the dumpster and stuff. And I almost lost my graduation over it, but like I didn't, because it's like my grandmother knows like lawyer shit.
Yeah.
So yeah, I basically started a riot overnight at my high school.